Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. This is Kelly, and we are almost at the end of March. It's just unbelievable. Wow. Hello, spring. I hope everybody's had a wonderful March and on to April here in a few days. I am a little late with this one as I am recording on Friday, and this is the Friday when I am supposed to be uploading a new episode. So I'm going to record and then upload it real quick. I am drinking Java Mama peanut butter egg, and oh my gosh, it's the chocolate peanut butter egg for Easter, and it is wonderful. We also just dropped a couple other things. There's a cup that says, "But did you die?" and it's spelled D-Y-E. It's an Easter cup. And then there's a new coffee called Bunny Tracks that sounds really good. Also makes a great Easter gift of some coffee and that "But did you die?" coffee cup. I think that would be awesome for Easter if you knew anybody that was a good, a wonderful coffee drinker who loves different types of coffees like that. Of course, we also have coffees that are not flavored, but they're all good. So I will leave a link in the show notes as Java Mama is clean and green, better for your gut, and air roasted. So you taste the whole bean, not the roaster. Also available in single little K-cup pods. So you can also get them for your Keurig or, I call it a Keurig. I know that's the brand, but the single coffee cup machine. Matter of fact, I'm going to have a drink right now before I get started on this case. Okay. Here we go. We are going to New Albany, Indiana for this one. It's the case of Robin Baxter. She was born on September 18th of 1958. Now, my sources are casetext.com, Baxter V State, wave3.com, findagrave.com, and Murder in the Heartland, which is on ID. It is season 8, episode 4, Solving the Unsolvable. Can also be streamed on Max. I have Max and Paramount and Hulu. I get them all, and Peacock, and I get them mixed up. So it took me a while to. I knew this episode, and I had to go find it again, and I had to go from one streaming channel to the other to find it. But anyway, Robin Baxter's first love was Chris Baxter. I never got her maiden name. I also never got their wedding date. So, but, or how long they were even married. But anyway, Chris Baxter was her first love as she married him, and he had a friend named Eugene, and they all hung out together, all three of them. They always liked to go out. She went out and she did line dancing. She was basically the life of the party. So she had a lot of friends in the area of New Albany, and she just had a lot of friends, and she was always going out, having fun, going to parties. Well, on June 19th of 1990, Chris called around to family members and friends to see if Robin was there, as she did not come home the night of the 19th. So I'm thinking he called the next morning. I've got the 19th down because that was when she disappeared. But he called the next morning and was trying to find out, where she was. And he ended up contacting the police on the 21st, June 21st, because everybody was searching and nobody could find her. She was 31 years old, and police started searching the area and they didn't find her. So Chris also made appearances on the news to help find her. Like he would do, pleas to help, what she was wearing, when she was last seen, which was at home. He said he went home. They had went to a party at a neighbor's house, and when he went home, he just crashed because they had been drinking, and they went home and crashed and woke up and she was gone. On June 22nd, so just a few days later, workers at a power plant along the Ohio River were up doing maintenance on the smokestacks, and they just looked down and happened to see a body in the water. It was a naked body that was only dressed in a black t-shirt, and it took a while to identify the body because of the damage done to her, and she had been beaten in the head. It was Robin Baxter. So blunt force trauma to the head. I don't know exactly what else was done. I know that her face was unrecognizable. So Chris was brought in to identify her. They asked him, excuse me, my throat. They asked him if she would have committed suicide. And he said, oh, no way. She was deathly afraid of heights and afraid of water. So there was no way that would have happened. She would not have jumped from the bridge. So this is the bridge. I know it goes over to Louisville, Ohio. I think it's, or not Louisville. I don't know what I'm thinking here. That's Louisville, Kentucky. But I know New Albany is right there at the end, like just across the border from Ohio. And I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong. Well, I don't know why I got Louisville in my head. I might be thinking of Kentucky, but the Ohio River is right there where New Albany was. And the other crime that comes to mind that happened, which happened after this, was the crime of Shandashire. And that got my attention when they said the town, because I was like, okay, I know where that is, because I've read the book up on, and I've listened to many podcasts on that crime. Okay, sorry, I had to get it. Oh, drink of water in my throat. Okay. Chris was very upset, and of course, everybody in the town, they were all devastated, all our friends and family. So the police brought Chris in for an interview. He told them that they had been at a neighbor's house for a party. They both came home together, and around 10 o'clock, they started fighting over food. Now, this was arguing, he said. He woke up around 2 a.m. He went to the neighbors to see if she was there, and that is where it started, when he started looking for her. There was no evidence against him. People in town were talking about her disappearing from a neighbor. Now, the neighbor where they had the party, 3 guys were the ones who lived in that house, and they are the ones who threw the party. Their names are Doug, Ricky, and Steve. I did not write down their last names, but Doug, Ricky, and Steve. They all lived on Troy Street. That's the street they all lived on. Well, these 3 became suspects. A family member even asked them what happened, and they said to stay out of it, and basically one of them said, I can't say anything. Why? I don't know. Maybe they had a lawyer. I don't know. But he said he can't say anything, and this actually made them look worse. You know, when you say, oh, stay out of it, telling her family member to stay out of it. No, I don't think so. So when the police talked to them, they said they didn't leave that night. They were home. All 3 were home at that party all night. They did not leave. So each guy was each other's alibi, is basically what it was. Because they all said they were all there. Now, this was 1990, and Robin always went out to the arcade. And I don't know if this town just had one arcade, but when they talked about it, they said it in singular. So I remember that, and arcades were big back then because you didn't have the internet. You didn't have your computer to sit home and play games on. You went out and played, you know. And so she was big frequenting the arcade. And they said that the neighborhood was not the same after she passed. Chris told investigators on July 5th, 1990, that he was suspicious of those 3 guys, the neighbors, Doug, Ricky, and Steve. But there wasn't any evidence tying them to anything. So it was found out, now rumors were flying around the town, that Robin went out to a bar that night without Chris. And I don't know if this is the bar with the arcade or what, but she was chatting with some guy at the bar, drinking with him, and someone had said that they left together. So now many people were worried about a killer being in the area. They were all, worried that something's going on and there's a killer, and everyone was suspicious of everyone, basically. It was hard to trust anybody. Eugene became a big suspect in the town. He was the one that was friends with both of them and who was always around him. He's basically like a third wheel. And it was known around town that he acted like he could get any woman he wanted. So there became rumors of an affair between him and Robin. Now, Eugene Higgs, that's his last name. He was interviewed July 25th of that year. And he said that they had been together before she met Chris. So they're former boyfriend, girlfriend. And nothing else happened. Once she was with Chris, nothing happened between them. And he had no motive to murder her. There was no fighting. There was nothing like that going on between them. Well, the case ended up going cold because they had no leads. They had no murder weapon. And Chris moved out of their home shortly after this. Well, June of 2011, so now we're up over 20 years since the murder. And the policeman who worked on this case in 1990 reopened it. He had been promoted because his dad retired and his dad worked on it. And then now he took over and he reopened it. And he started following up on names as he went back to the 3 guys who lived next door. He found out that all 3 of them were in a gay relationship, so they had no interest in Robin. And I'm thinking that's why they said, I can't say anything, stay out of it. They were real quiet about that. At this time, all 3 had died of AIDS. And so that was kind of a hush-hush, in that town. Back then it was different than it is now. They really kept that quiet. They had, like I said, they had no motive to kill Robin because one of them, there was a rumor going around that one of them had made sexual advances toward her, but no, that was not the case. People were brought in to be interviewed about Chris and Eugene. Eugene was the ex-boyfriend. Chris was really jealous, like all the time. And he did hit Robin. So other rumors were going around about her having an affair, and it got back to Chris. There was one guy that was friends with them named Charles Lance. And he called the police back in 1990 with information and never got a call back. I don't know why. I understand calls could get lost in the shuffle and forgotten about, especially if you don't write them down, or if you write them down and they get lost. But he never got a call back. Now, he was friends with Robin, and he was telling them that in 2011, this is when the case was reopened, Chris went to Charles and asked him about doing some drywall repair, and there was just a spot on his wall he wanted to have done. When Charles went over to the house, he noticed that there was always a solid aluminum pipe about 36 inches long that Chris had, and it was basically his weapon for defending yourself. I don't know why I'm blanking on what you call it. But, when you have a gun in the house, to defend yourself, for protection. And he would often brag and say, I don't need a gun. I got the enforcer. Also, I also read that he also called it the equalizer. And it was this big aluminum pipe. And it was always there. He always left it in the same place in the house. So he had it in case anything ever happened. Well, Charles didn't see that where it normally was. And they also had photos of him holding that rod. And there was one photo that the police had where it had him holding it. And because they said they really can't take the word of Charles, they needed proof. Well, October of 1990, now, Robin was killed in June. So this was October. Chris had moved out already, and there were people who moved into their house their names were McMillan. That was their last name. And I'm thinking this was a rental, because if this was, I'm pretty sure they rented this house, because right when he moved out, they moved in. And they were interviewed. They said that when they moved their now this is back in 1990, when they moved their furniture in, they were trying to position a chair up against the wall, and there was a big hole. It like caved in a hole in the wall when they hit it. And they looked, and this was the drywall area that supposedly he had repaired, but doesn't sound like it was repaired very good. But anyway, they looked in and they saw a rod inside the wall. Well, they kept the rod. They're like, oh, the husband of the couple that lived in the house wanted to have a friend of his make nunchucks out of it, or something, make some kind of tool out of it, because he's like, I could use this. And so they kept it. And when the police came to the house back then, they got the rod, and they looked into the hole and found a tissue and a glove. So they took the tissue and the glove, and they took it to the lab to run DNA testing. Now, back then, DNA testing wasn't big, it wasn't as good as it is now. So they were able to run the DNA testing, but I think, at least from my understanding, they ran the DNA testing in 2011. Because I'm not even sure how they ran DNA testing back then. I mean, they had the stuff they had the things, but what I don't understand is this is what I don't get. They didn't have the murder weapon, but then they had this pipe. And I think the pipe, the McMillan dude had already given it to that friend of his to make something out of it, is what happened. So they had the glove, is what the whole thing, that's where the DNA was. So they knew what happened to the pipe, but like I said, he gave it to a friend of his. So the evening of June 19th, 1990, and this is the night that Robin Baxter went missing, she called her friend. Her name is Tanita. She called her from home, and she was talking like in a whisper. She said she never saw Chris as bad as he was then. And he was afraid, or she was afraid of him. He had broke out the glass in the back door. A neighbor named Joseph Perry heard Robin shouting for someone to stop. And this was around 10 o'clock that night. He saw her walking up the street and noticed that she had blood on her face and shirt. Robin told him that she wanted to call her mom and that she was scared. And then she left and walked up to a store, which was close to their house. So I'm thinking she went there to use the phone. I'm not sure. But then he saw, or maybe went there for help. But it's strange because she was just talking to the neighbor. But anyway, then he saw Chris Baxter get up from a lawn chair and stagger inside the house like he was drunk. Joseph, the neighbor, went back inside his house, went to bed. The next morning, Robin's friend Wilma stopped to pick something up from Robin, which that was already planned. And Robin wasn't home, but Chris let Wilma in, and she noticed a hole in the wall and asked Chris about it. Oh, he said he got mad and punched the wall because he didn't want to punch Robin. Now, about the broken glass, which that could have happened. He could have hit the wall. Now, about the broken glass in the back door, he said he was upset that she had gone, so he punched that he couldn't find her, so he punched the glass out. Chris was also scratched up on his arms, and when asked about that by another friend of his, he said he was crawling on the ground looking for Robin. There was another time with Charlie Lance. Chris was at his home with Charlie and his girlfriend, Suzanne Monroe, and this was in 1992. And he just said out of the blue, "You don't know the power you feel when you take someone's life until you've actually done it." Charlie accused him of killing Robin. So Chris lunged at him and choked him into unconsciousness. And Suzanne was trying to pull him off. And Charles started coming out of the consciousness. He started becoming conscious. And then he hit Chris with a drinking glass, once he came back into his consciousness, and then got him off of him. But as you could probably guess, the DNA on the glove was Chris's DNA. So 2011, they found Chris and brought him in to interview. Well, when they started questioning him, he said he needed a lawyer. So they had to stop questioning. So, February 2nd of 2012, Chris was charged with Robin's murder. His sister told him about the pipe found and a glove, and he said he never knew about that. He said he had a pipe once, but he never knew what happened to it. Okay. We're going to believe that, but Chris struck Robin in the face and head over and over until she died, and dumped her in the river like garbage. He was found guilty on July 13th, 2012, and sentenced to 55 years. 55 years, not life, but 55 years, which I'm sure he'll be dead by then, but that's the weird thing. It's like, I don't get, he had a life. He was able to live all these years, and now, finally, he got sentenced, but I don't understand these years of sentencing. Maybe because he pled guilty. I don't know. But his sister was on there talking about it on Murder in the Heartland. And it was just really something that, she found out her brother did it, and I think she already suspected. A lot of people suspected, because they had all this evidence, what happened that night, and people talking about it, and the friends, and one of the friends, I forgot which one it was, it may have been Charles, but I'm not sure. When they were searching, he stopped them in there was like a bushy area in their yard, or right around their yard, and he stopped them and said, "Don't look there, I already looked there." So I don't know, maybe something happened there. I don't know. But it was just, he was acting strange from the beginning. I don't really understand why it took this long to get him. I don't know if it's because they didn't have any DNA. This is just what people were saying, and they couldn't take just the word of people. But nowadays, this DNA is wonderful, especially with the genealogy stuff. I think is amazing. I just posted something on my Facebook group about a girl found in 1973. They were able to identify her now. At first I was thinking maybe it was a Bundy case, but the girl was 13, so I wasn't sure. So I've got that on my Facebook page. I always try to, if I remember, to post a lot of different cases on there, and that's Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat, and it is a private group, so you just ask to be invited, and I invite you, I approve you to come in. So if anybody is interested in joining that, I'm also on Instagram. I'll have everything in the show notes if you want to, suggest a case. I have my email in there also. So I am looking for suggestions. So I do have a couple more listed that I'm thinking about doing, but I do recommend that episode of Murder in the Heartland. It is a very good episode if you watch that show. Sometimes I accidentally say Evil Lives Here, because I've been watching that too. And I don't want to get those mixed up. Like, I'll say Evil Lives Here. No, I mean Murder in the Heartland. But Murder in the Heartland, I prefer. I just like the stories they have on there and how they do them. And Evil Lives Here just gets to where, to me, sometimes it's very, very hard to watch. Very hard to watch. Oh my gosh. But thank you for all your support. Thank you for my Patreon and Spotify Premium members, as you have your 3 bonus episodes this month. So enjoy. I just uploaded the last bonus episode the other day, so that's up on Patreon. And thank you so much for your support. I think I've got almost 2 years of content on there. If anybody is interested, it's only $5, and you can listen to all of them. You can binge them all. So anyway, I'm watching Happy Face, which is about the Happy Face killer. and that's on Paramount. Now, see, I got to think of what channel it's on. There's 3 on there now, but then see, I looked it up and I found out a lot of the stuff is not true. I thought the whole thing was true, and there's a lot in it that is not true, that didn't happen. So it's like, well, I'll probably keep watching it. But he was horrible, horrific. I cannot stand listening sometimes to what these people do. And oh my gosh, if you don't know about him, oh my gosh, it's horrible. He was terrible. He was a truck driver and picked up women and did things to animals when he was a kid and when he was and an adult. I just can't stand people like that. But anyway, I don't even know if he's dead yet. Too bad he ain't. But I don't think he is. I think he's still in prison. I think. The other thing I've been watching is on Hulu, Great American Family. The woman from Grey's Anatomy. I can never think of her name. She's in it. That's pretty interesting. I didn't think I was gonna like that, but I'm liking that. It's the Natalia Grace story, but it's in a series, and it's from the parents' point of view. The series on ID was from her point of view, but this is from the parents' point of view. I could not stand that girl. If this is true, I mean, I know this is from the parents' point of view, but if all this is true, I could not stand that girl. She'd be done. I don't know what I'd be going crazy. It's horrible. The adoptive place they got her from, they're trying to contact them and they closed. And then they paid for all this money for her surgeries, and she didn't even have surgeries. You know, they had to pay for surgeries she had before they adopted her. The adoption agency made them pay. And she didn't, then they just found out she didn't even have any surgeries. I don't know. I forgot the name of this adoption place, but I'm like, if this is all true, I'd be floored. Oh my gosh. It's like, I don't know. So I'm still watching that. But that actually is good. I expected to really like Happy Face, and I mean, it's not bad. It's just I don't know what to think of it right now. But if anybody's watching that, let me know. I'm trying to think of what else I've caught up on. I haven't really watched much of any other movies lately. There is one on Netflix about a rock star turned murderer. I don't know if it is in English. It might be. I don't know. But it's French, I think. I think it takes place in France. And I've not heard of the guy. I'm pretty interested in watching that. So, trying to think if there's any other. Oh, I did watch Adolescence on Netflix. If you haven't watched that, that is good. The only thing, it's only 4 episodes. It's good because it really shows what these parents and families go through where their kid is the murderer. They really go through a lot. And it's really sad. But what I thought was really cool about it, every episode's done in one shot, one take. There's no cuts. There's no, one whole take is that whole episode. And it's amazing that these actors never made mistakes. And you don't see any, because I'm like, how are they doing this? Like, the 3rd episode was probably that was my least favorite. That was the one where it all took place, where the boy was being interviewed by the psychiatrist, and the camera was panning around him. And I'm thinking, how can they pan around this room and you don't see another camera? I was just really impressed by that. I know they had to be on a dolly. I know it's probably just one camera going around, but it's amazing you don't see any other equipment in that room as that camera's going around. And I mean, it's slowly moving, so you get all angles of the room. But I was just impressed by that whole thing about doing it all in one take, panning around the whole room without seeing any other equipment. I was just amazed at that, and that's what really got me. So check that out. It's on Netflix. It is, it's British, so I mean, I always turn on my closed caption because sometimes the terminology I don't understand what they say and what they call certain things, and sometimes when they talk, they might talk a little fast, or I can't hear it because it seems like when I turn Netflix on, it's very quiet. Very, very quiet. And then the ads are real loud, and it's like, okay, I got to turn it down, turn it up. So I turn on my closed caption, so that does help. But anyway, there's my recommendations. I hope everybody has a wonderful last couple days of March, and spring is here. I hope you all have a wonderful spring. It's pretty windy here, but it's warm. Just the wind. I just wish the wind would die down. But have a good one, everybody. Thank you so much for your support, as I am hoping to have another episode up in a couple weeks. If I do, we'll see, because April's going to be kind of in and out for me. So hopefully I will be able to get one up. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Have a good one, everybody. And I will see you next time.